I have a quorum. So.
Patrick's not probably.
That's said he would be here.
I'm the past chairman if you want me to do that.
Sure.
It's up to you, or should we wait a couple minutes to see if Justin shows up?
Oh, where is?
There we go. Crisis averted. Hey,
Yeah, it's my time to shine. Greetings. How are you? All righty, are we ready to begin? Okay. I call this meeting to order. Let's do roll call. Yeah. Roll call. Do I read off the
Or
The
I can
name?
do it either. I can do it too. whatever.
okay, you'll do it. Okay.
Got a Vice Chair Polly,
Here.
Commissioner Hunter,
here,
sorry, Committee Member Ostovar,
here.
Committee Member Palmer,
Here.
Committee Member Schmidt,
Here.
Committee Member Turgan,
Here.
and our Chair Turgenza is absent. And let's see, for staff members present, we have Principal Planner Roveri, Senior Associate Planner Schmidt, and myself, Recording Secretary Argenbright. For information on participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or by telephone, it is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you are connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
All right, so at this time, we'll open the consent agenda. And I believe the only thing that we have on the consent agenda is the approval of minutes from the March 20th, 2024 meeting. Does any member of the public or commission, committee, would they like to discuss the consent agenda? Comments?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Can we confirm there's no hands raised?
Yes,
online?
there are no hands raised online.
All right, there's a motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous approval. All right. At this time, we will open up public comment for items not on the agenda. Anything online?
There are no attendees with their hands raised.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to the public appearances. I believe first item on the agenda is consideration of 182 El Dorado Street. Is there anyone that would like to make a presentation?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Polly. My name is Chris Schmidt. I'm a Senior Associate Planner for the city. And give me one moment here and I'll get that presentation started. So yes, we have a project at 182 El Dorado Street. It is an addition and new garage at an behind the existing structure. So to start, the staff recommendation is that the ARC adopts a resolution approving preliminary and final architectural review for the project. There's some basic background information about the site. It is located near the intersection of Cass Street and El Dorado Street. It had been originally constructed as a single-family dwelling, but has since in the past, more recent past, been used as an office space, And as you can see, it's a double fronting lot here with the main entrance on El Dorado Street and rear frontage at Davis Lane, which is an alley. And it is zoned CO-ES, which is the commercial office zone and emergency shelter overlay, and has a general plan designation of commercial. Just some additional background information. This project was approved in the commercial office zone. A use permit is required to for single family dwellings, and even returning to that original use as a single family dwelling. So this project received a use permit approval earlier this year to convert it back to a dwelling. As part of that requirement, the current code requirement for single family dwellings is there's a parking requirement of 1 covered and 1 uncovered space, both of which can be provided as covered. And so the applicant here today is proposing an addition at the rear as well as a garage, which meets that covered parking requirement. And I just wanted to kind of show, this is the Cass Street corridor, which is a major office and medical office corridor, but also does have lots of residential, and we continue to see in the planning office more residential projects for conversions or new builds in this area, as we've seen. If you recall, a property just up the street, 1047 Cass, a developer is working on a new home up the street from here. So the area is slowly kind of turning into more of a mixed use area. It has had residential uses here for many years. I think there are a lot of homes that were originally developed, close to 100 years ago that still are in this area. And so you see, I've highlighted, various office uses throughout, as well as residential along this El Dorado corridor, just for some perspective. So what is the project? Conversion of the existing office to single family dwelling, including in it a rear addition. It's approximately 50 to 55 square foot addition, as well as a construction of a 1,000 square foot garage. And as I mentioned, a use permit was approved for that conversion. So here we see the site plan, the existing plan on the left and proposed on the right. And here you can see that small addition just kind of filling in that corner there. And then the garage, which is almost essentially the same footprint of the dwelling down to really the bay window even. And then here's a larger view of that existing site plan, just for reference. So there, as I mentioned, this was an office, or currently is an office. The parking at the rear is used by the staff of the office. And then here's that proposed new single family or converted single family dwelling floor plan, as well as garage. Here are the elevations showing the addition to the home itself. The top images show the rear of the building. This is the elevation that faces Davis Lane, the alley. And as you can see, I've highlighted where that addition would be. Again, it's just kind of filling in that corner. And then likewise, the bottom is that side elevation from the interior east side of the lot. Looking, it's hard to discern that there's an addition there, but there is. And then the elevations for the garage itself. And it's worth noting, the exterior materials are generally all designed to match the existing dwelling. Of course, there's no garage door at the home now, but this would be the proposed garage door. So ARC referral and public comment. So the scope of work for this project is typically eligible for administrative review. The city requires that story poles and notices be sent to neighboring property owners within 100 feet of lot lines, soliciting comments, and anybody can refer these types of projects to the ARC. So this project was referred to the ARC by the neighboring property owners, Teresa and Eric Del Piero, who own the adjacent medical office building to the west at 871 Cass. The neighbors have concern, and their public comment was uploaded to the submitted comments website. And I know that Spencer did send that to the ARC prior to the meeting. So I hope that everyone had a chance to review that. The neighbors had concern for the size of the garage, the impact to the surrounding parking and vehicle circulation if the structure is converted to an ADU, and also request for a sidewalk to be built at the rear and a right-of-way dedication for widening of El Dorado Street, which was required when their building was built in 1990. I'll note the project today is for a garage. The applicant has indicated that they have desire to do a conversion in the future. They don't have the water to do that. And in that same light, covered parking is required for single-family dwelling conversion. So again, I think the ARC needs to focus on the use of this building as a garage. That's what's proposed today. What I had indicated to the neighbors is under state law, the planning division and the ARC do not have discretion over ADUs of this scope. There's some limited discretion for the ARC for certain types of ADUs in the R3 zone. The second story ADUs, which may impact views, that's something that the city specially crafted in its zoning ordinance. But this type of project would not, if the ADU converted, would not require a planning permit or ARC review. In that same light, I had, in addition to their second comment, I just would mention, if sidewalk improvements are required by the Public Works Division, that would be done at the building permit stage. I've talked to the Public Works staff about this. It's something that they will require, and at that building permit, it will not, in all likelihood, will not include the requirement of a new sidewalk at the rear on the Davis Lane. It may require portions of the El Dorado Street sidewalk to be repaired where there's some uplifting, and that's basically required for projects throughout the city at the building permit stage. So moving on to the findings for approval. The first finding is that the proposed siding form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate for the site and the surrounding area in the city. So staff made this finding: the addition and new garage structure match the style of the dwelling, and they are similar in scale. The CO district does allow a greater coverage. There's a 50% lot coverage maximum in the CO zone, which this project complies with. There is no floor area ratio maximum in the CO zone. The zone does allow for larger buildings, and there are larger buildings in nearly all directions of this site. Second finding is that the views, privacy, and living environment are not unreasonably impaired. Staff made this finding. The view impacts are limited due to neighboring development, landscaping, and topography, as well as the design of the dwelling and the location of the addition. The design of the garage. The garage height is limited compared to the existing dwelling, and so there are no view impacts that the staff observed from the proposed garage. The next finding is that the project is consistent with city plans and design guidelines. The commercial general plan designation does allow residential up to 30 units per acre. I think I may have noted it in the staff report, but I believe up to 4 or so units would be allowed on this site. Here, we're only looking at a single family dwelling conversion and garage. And then the proposal is residential in character, compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. And I'll note, that another concern when I talked to the neighbor on the phone was, this project wouldn't have a rear yard for a family to play in, like a traditional single family home might have. And I think that's the true difference between the CO zone and our residential districts, which our residential districts do require rear yard setbacks to create that yard separation from other neighbors and that yard for open space. That's not required in the CO zone. So this project does comply with the setbacks. So just wanted to note that. And the last finding is that the exterior finish, colors, materials, and all of their exterior fixtures are appropriate. They match, as I mentioned, match the existing style with this kind of a beige gray stucco exterior and flat roof. And the windows and other openings are generally in style with the existing dwelling. So with that, the staff recommendation is to approve. I'm available for questions. The project architect is here as well. I believe the neighbors, well, they intended to be online here today. They couldn't make it to the meeting, so I think they will give their comment, but let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Chris, I have one question. There was a lot of talk in that presentation about ADUs, but we are not even to consider the ADU, right? We're just talking about a garage.
Right.
Any other questions?
There are, yeah, sorry, could you repeat that question?
Are there setback requirements in the CO zone?
Yes, they are outlined in the staff report and I can quickly repeat some of them. The side yard setback is going to be 5 feet. The rear yard setback is a unique one that's specific to alley frontages. And so for this project, it was 25 feet from the alley center line, in which case this was a 30-foot wide alley. So 15 feet to property line and then another 10 feet setback from property line. So this project complies with that.
Thank you.
All right, if there's no more staff questions, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Good afternoon. My name is Safwat Malik. I'm the architect and applicant for the project. I really don't have much to say. The project complies with all the city requirements, and we just seek approval.
Thank you. Any questions or comments of the applicant? All right, at this time, we'd like to open up for public comments.
There are no attendees with their hands raised.
All right, we'll close public comments and we'll open for commission comments. Anyone have any thoughts?
Well, I understand the neighbors' concerns. If we're to just be looking at the proposed garage as a garage, the project is consistent with all the setbacks requirements. It's similar in architectural appearance to the existing. The addition is very minimal. I myself have no issues with the project as it is with the proposed garage. And it's my understanding that there's no water for an ADU at this time anyways, and it's unforeseen when that might occur. So it could remain a garage for years for all we know, so.
Well, I move to approve architectural review permit for 182 Eldorado Street.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the project is approved. Mhm.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, I just feel like I need to state that this project is appealable to the planning commission within 10 days of today's date, and the forms are available at the planning office and online.
Okay, so next on our agenda is consideration of 2600 Sand Dunes Drive. We have the staff presentation.
Okay, let me pull that up. Okay. Hello, ARC. My name is Fernanda Roveri. I'm the principal planner for the city of Monterey. And today, before you is an architectural review application for exterior alterations, including landscaping and lighting changes at 2600 Sand Dunes Drive. The staff recommendation is to adopt the resolution. Can they not hear me?
That's not.
Can you share your screen?
Oh, okay. I always forget. Okay. So staff's recommendation is to approve the exterior alterations, including landscaping and lighting at 2600 Sand Dunes Drive. This site is zoned visitor accommodation facility, which is the city's hotel and motel zoning. Currently, there is an existing 4-story hotel on site with meeting rooms, a porte cochere, parking, pool decks, and other amenities. The hotel's current name is Monterey Tides Hotel, but it is being rebranded. And on March 1st of last year, the ARC approved new exterior stairs at this site to improve exiting for the hotel, and also approved renovations to the porte cochere, railing system, roof system, and building lighting. And any non-structural alterations to property in this hotel zone requires ARC review. And so this is why the proposal is before you today. So the renovations that are being proposed today include a rehabilitated landscaping, pavers, screening panels, concrete retaining walls and curbs, boulder clusters, 2 murals, and to paint the planter at the entrance a sort of grayish blue color to match the renovated hotel color, and lighting in the hotel grounds. This is a site plan that includes all of the proposed improvements. Here is Sand Dunes Drive, and here on this side is Canyon Del Rey Boulevard. And this is the corner. So if you're coming north from Canyon Del Rey and you turn left, this is the main hotel entrance. It's a driveway that takes you to a parking area to the right. And there's a sort of like a roundabout. The porte cochere is here. And on the left side is also a parking lot. So their proposal is to do landscaping at the entrance on both sides and along the Sand Dunes Drive frontage, as well as Canyon Del Rey. Redoing the planter with rehabilitated landscaping and doing basically landscaping all over the hotel grounds. And in the back as well, facing the beach. These decks are already existing, so they would just be cleaned up and there would be some pavers added and boulders. And the lighting would be throughout, and I'll show you in the next few slides. So these are examples of the pavers. They would be a sort of gray color. The screening panels, I don't have a photo of what it would look like, but if you can imagine, the posts would be, basically it would be constructed of redwood and treated Douglas fir. That would be the post, I imagine, and then the redwood would be the horizontal panels. So it would stay that natural redwood color, and it's mainly for privacy. There would be a concrete retaining wall that would be left in a concrete color, and also concrete curbs sort of retaining the landscaping. The granite boulders would be about 1 to 2 feet in diameter and would be distributed throughout the landscaping. The planter is proposed to be painted, the stucco on the planter would be painted this Mount Etna grayish blue, which is, if you've been there at the hotel recently, it's been painted this gray blue. So it would match the hotel color. And there are 2 murals proposed at the, so this is their Bayview building, which is here. And it's used for meeting rooms and also will be renovated to have a fitness area for guests. And so the murals would be on 2 sides of that building, the back and the side. And they would feature plants and flowers endemic to Monterey, as well as a map of Monterey Bay. This is a map of the lighting, and there are path lights being proposed, as well as uplights and step lights. And the uplights would be mainly to illuminate the landscaping at the entrance and at the corner and in the planter area. So it would act as like elevating the aesthetic appeal of the landscaping. And so in order to approve this project, the ARC needs to make 4 findings. One of them is that the siting, form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate for the site and the immediate area and city. However, no vertical structures are being proposed that would have massing, especially since the hotel is a 4-story hotel. All of the proposed landscaping elements are very low to the ground compared to the hotel. So they would not have any impact on massing. And the improvements are proposed to complement the architectural style. The second finding is that the project will not unreasonably impair views, privacy, or living environment. And as I mentioned, no vertical structures are being proposed, so that if they wouldn't have any view impacts. The uplights, even though they're called uplights, they're meant to be directed toward the landscaping at an angle, so they wouldn't be facing straight up. And so they wouldn't be having an impact on nighttime views. And then the third finding is that the project is consistent with the general plan. It's consistent with the site's commercial general plan land use designation in that the improvements would support the commercial use of the site. The landscaping and lighting are meant to provide safety for hotel guests so that they can use the hotel grounds at night. And also, the project is consistent with the urban design element of the general plan in that all of the lighting is gonna be low LED lighting, low to the ground, and directed at the landscaping so that it doesn't really affect the, the coastal environment. It won't produce any lighting pollution. And the fourth finding is that the proposed finishes, colors, materials, landscaping, lighting, fencing are appropriate for the site, immediate area, and city. The landscaping in the packet, there's a list of all of the plants that they are proposing to use. And they also attached a water efficient landscaping. They have to comply with the Monterey Water Efficient Landscaping Ordinance, which requires them to use water efficient landscaping. And so they provided a sheet showing compliance with that in the packet. And also the landscaping is compatible with the coastal climate. The materials that are being used, such as the redwood and the concrete forms, would complement the natural beach setting and the blue-gray colors of the renovated hotel. The murals are appropriate for Monterey and that they feature local plants, and the lamps of all of the lighting would be made of aluminum and coated with black to appear muted and to not stand out. With that, staff recommends approval of the alterations. And I'm here for questions. I'm not sure if the applicant is online. I did not get a confirmation if they were gonna show up, but yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone on the committee have any questions for staff?
I have one question. I looked through the list of plants and I mean, I know some, but I'm just wondering, none are indicated whether they're native or not. Is there a requirement? And maybe you could just talk to that a little bit.
So this the hotel zoning, the VAF zone, has the requirements listed in the city charter, and that the requirements, there is no requirement in the charter for native plants.
Okay.
We do recommend it because I mean, it just makes sense to plant with plants that are going to survive in this climate and that are drought resistant and native, but it's not a requirement that they need to be native.
So sorry. And then I see that there's some ice plant on here. And I don't know all the different varietals, but in general, I think ice plants are pretty invasive. So just a little curious about that as well.
I have heard, yeah, of that they could be invasive. It's a developed hotel and there's a lot of pavement. So I don't imagine that the ice plant would take over, but I mean, I don't know how, if the seeds can like travel in the wind. I don't know if they're gonna get transplanted somewhere else. But I didn't see an issue, but it's obviously you're the experts and you can put any conditions that you want.
Thank you.
Oh, I saw the The lighting also, that caught my attention, that it's listed as an uplight. Do they have evidence of some sort that those will not be uplights, which are typically not allowed? I think lighting is one of the main concerns we had previously, was just making sure, especially in this location, that things are very low and things like that. So is there some way that'll be proved in the future, or how is that usually handled?
They provided the lights, and let me see if I can find it in the specs for the lights were in the packet. So let me
Yeah.
look that up.
Just, I mean, it's listed as uplight.
Yeah.
So, and if that's not allowed, then it seems like we're approving something that's not allowed. It's called that, just as a concern.
Okay. Let me see.
They're lighting the building facade or something.
Yeah, or some signs or something.
Yeah.
While you're looking into that, thank you. There are also, I should see this, but there are no trees being removed. Just, I like to double check that if there's any.
They did apply for a tree removal permit, but they applied after this project was noticed. So the tree removal would have to come back to the ARC for approval. But I haven't reviewed the plans yet, so I'm not sure how many trees they're proposed for removal.
So that's not in this, but would come to us at a later date.
Yes.
So we would not be de facto approving those tree removals by approving this plan, even if there's conflicts.
Right, you wouldn't be approving tree removals.
Thank you.
The lights, I mean, you can put a condition that says that the lights need to be, you can even specify the angle that you want them to point, if that's a concern.
I just thought typically they're just not allowed. So
They're not prohibited. At least not in the city charter, they're not. And in the downtown specific plan, there is language about uplighting the rooftop of buildings being prohibited, but the downtown specific plan doesn't apply to this zoning.
okay, yeah, I thought especially with the fog and I mean, it seems not compliant with dark skies and things like that are especially things that we like to be concerned with. But okay,
But so there's nothing in the ordinance that prohibits, because I know Carmel has pretty strict requirements about prohibiting uplight, but there's nothing in Monterey that prohibits uplighting.
Well, nothing in the city charter, because the VAF zoning regulations live in the city charter, which is separate from the zoning ordinance. And there's nothing in the city charter or zoning ordinance prohibiting uplighting.
Okay.
There is a urban design element policy in the general plan that talks about dark skies. And
yeah, I mean, all the other
did-
lights, yeah, say cut off, full cut off and things like that. And up lights obviously don't comply with that.
yeah, I can read the exact language of the
That'd be
general
great.
plan. So it is general plan urban design element policy F.9, discourage high levels of ambient light and maintain night skies where stars can be seen. So it doesn't prohibit
that-
uplight, it
Use
just
that word,
discourages.
but it says everything else otherwise. Yeah,
Mhm.
But it did say night sky
but it
compliant,
did say night sky compliant. Yeah.
which is no uplighting. Any other questions for staff?
No, just that I share that concern and I wonder, I'm trying to think of how to articulate how we might make that a condition.
I think we probably save that for discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's probably
yeah.
where I'm
Discuss that.
headed, but yeah, but wondering how we do that.
Um, We can discuss that. So if there's no more questions for staff.
Well, I do have one more question
One more
because I share the concern with the ice plant too. I know it's been a major effort, from that area all the way down to Marina. It's a big problem. It proliferates really quickly. So are these new plantings being proposed? I was trying to look through the plan here to see where
It's on the schedule of plants.
Okay.
So I assume that means it's new.
Okay.
versus existing.
Okay, because I could also support maybe the removal of that particular plant if you were thinking about it.
Well, I'd be curious just to know more about maybe that bridal, if it's any different. I know we have a landscape designer present who may have some thoughts.
Well, we can discuss that. We'll discuss it.
I also did take a quick look at the lighting plan versus the landscape plan. Most of the uplights are beneath trees, not that, but just as kind of an FYI, there are a few that are not though. If we make a condition that-
All right, any further questions for staff? No? So at this time, is there an applicant online that would like to speak or make a presentation?
There are no attendees with their hands raised, but I will remind attendees that, okay, now there is one with their hand raised. I'll remind them that information on participating in this meeting and providing public comments, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you are connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government. Is Rebecca Weinstein associated with the application?
Yes.
Okay, then I will allow you to speak. One moment here. You can take yourself off mute, Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rebecca Weinstein with Highgate Hotels. We're managing the property as well as running the design and construction of the renovation. Just wanted to note on the comments that came up on the lighting. We were really, thoughtful in trying to ensure that the lighting was not ambient light, but rather, uplighting that was lighting trees. So I know that was noted earlier, and thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up. So it is about lighting trees. So, the light what we intended was that it won't go, much higher. It is about, uplighting the trees for a more like moody effect, and really wanted to ensure it wasn't an overall, ambient light. I hope that answers any questions. In terms of the plants, we did really work to make sure we have native plants. I can check with the landscape designer on, what proportion that is. That is even something that we showed in the mural is we're, reflecting native plants of the area. And we pulled that into the plants that we proposed. As far as the invasive plant, we'll have to check with the landscape designer. I unfortunately don't know if that is the case. So I hope that answers your question. If not, please let me know.
Thank you. So that closes public comments and we'll open it up
Oh.
to the,
I think that was just the applicant.
oh, that was the applicant. So are there any other public comments?
There are no more attendees with their hands raised.
Okay. So with that, we'll close public comment and are there any questions for the applicant? Okay. With that, we'll close public comment and open it up for committee discussion.
Are you feeling more assured about the uplighting?
Can you
I'm
look at the
seeing,
plan
yeah,
again
I'm
real
seeing
quick,
one
just where-
location in the plan where it doesn't appear to light up at a tree, and that's in front of the Port Cachere. Seems to have like 3 uplights.
I think there's a tree in that
Is there a tree in that well?
planter.
Okay,
Um,
rest of these are all, no, that one's pointing it.
Signage maybe, yeah.
There's 11 of them.
Yeah, I mean, even trees are typically most cases where people are saying for dark skies and things, that's not allowed. That's pretty typical, just because you can't always. There's usually gonna be some spill anyway. I do appreciate it is very nice. Like it is nice to see a couple trees at an entrance or something like that. We do want to, this renovation does seem very positive. Like all of the efforts to do this
Mhm.
do seem really good. I think there's just those couple of things that we're all chewing on at the moment that we want to just make sure get covered appropriately. I mean, there's some iffy plants that I saw in there that are considered, borderline Pride of Madeira and things like that, but you see those everywhere. Sometimes people consider them to spread rampant. Probably wouldn't be the case here. Can you say which one specifically was the ice plant you
I
were?
found it. It was the third down. It was like a yellow.
Yeah. Which I didn't remember being particularly concerned about.
I
but
couldn't
Oh,
find it on the
Back at
plan.
page
there
53.
it is.
Hardy yellow ice plant. It's on the schedule, but I couldn't find it on the plan.
It's yellow.
So there's
I mean,
65 of them.
most of these are, they're different.
And I guess,
They're obviously, a lot of them aren't natives. Lavender, Japanese. Yeah.
yeah, and I guess this type of ice plant, looking it up, it's not that type you see all
Yeah, I
over
don't think it's
corridor,
that.
Dune State Park.
Yeah,
That
exactly. That we're spending thousands of man hours trying to remove.
right
Um,
looks more ornamental.
so I'm not terribly worried about these. I mean, I would hope that pretty much any licensed landscape architect around here would be fairly careful and considerate about these things. So that's good to see that. So at this point, whether or not there's versions of this that are packed more with natives, as the applicant is suggesting they would prefer, that would be nice to see, but I don't immediately see anything that's really jumps out at me as problematic. So I guess we're left mostly with the lighting and how we feel about that. I mean, we know where this is. That's a pretty prominent place, even from the highway. I know from our house, we can across see that, and you do see lights, but mostly you see actually a little farther down, all the lights there that happen. So
All the lights are on the back. There's no lights on the coast, no up lights on the coast, the water side. of the building.
yeah, I mean, this
Yeah.
is a very important location that's right on the water. So I
Yeah.
think that's why we have some concerns or thoughts about that. Like this one, maybe in the courtyard. I guess that would be visible from other things, but just where you'd want to do that, you'd want to be pretty careful, I would think. We would be, I think, granting an exception in my mind, at least. This would be allowing something that we would want to discourage in general. So that's just where my mind goes, is how are we allowing something that generally we wouldn't based on the language that we see? Because the language you read did say something about dark skies and all this, and that uplighting is typically not considered to be doing that. I think we were even careful in the previous approval with the shielded lights all along the balconies and everything like that as well. So it is on this side of the building. So,
Yeah.
you know, the views across the bay and things like that are at least a little protected. It is a bit more for the cars and things like that on this side. But obviously, again, with the fog, uplighting is a concern. So I think I'm still hemming and hawing on it a little bit myself. But if we could limit it perhaps to just really specific, you know, the one tree in the middle there that they won't think is really important. I guess signage is a question to me too. I mean, I get it. Those are actually, they look like really beautiful signs.
It's the next
And-
project, right? It's the next.
Oh, is that part of that is in
It's a
that?
separate
It's, yeah, I saw that, but I didn't, but if we're approving the lighting here, that's actually, the sign is something we can get to, but it's if we're lighting the signs or the,
Not sure what those. I don't think those are
Panels?
signs. Yeah, like what
Panels.
the panels?
I
Okay,
didn't see them labeled, did you?
yeah.
And do we know if this lighting would be 24/7, like, or not, or are
Screening
there
panels.
rules to?
That's an interesting thought. I mean, you could have timers on them or something.
On the
Um,
tree lights, on the
yeah.
uplighting.
Yeah,
Like, is it necessary to be on after 9 or 10?
I would think they would want them is the thing. And then that gets again to the challenge of a small town enforcing.
Yeah.
Things like
Yeah.
that. But that's a good point. I mean, that is done.
I'll say it does look like there are locations where the uplights are being used on the screening panels and in places without trees. I guess my view on the uplights is it is right next to a highway and a Home Depot and a McDonald's. There's a lot of ambient light. We're not introducing light into an area.
You're adding to it.
You're adding, you are
and
adding
you're-
to it,
and
but
you're
That was
setting
my
precedent,
concern.
but yeah,
yeah,
As
yeah.
well as the fact that there is.
but yeah.
There's a lot of ambient lighting, but also that's the first structure you basically see
Right.
as you enter Monterey.
And
And it sets kind of, and it's Monterey, whereas just on the other side, it's Seaside. I'm just wondering if there's any way to achieve that ambient mood lighting, for lack of a better word, without an uplight. I'm just not that familiar with landscaping type of lights to know if there's a different way to achieve that without creating that. I also am concerned that if we approve this, then we're opening up
Yeah.
a can of worms for other uplighting, ambient mood things.
I think it's actually easier on the signs because you can use snoots and things like that really focus it. And so you could make sure it's focused on
And the
that.
signs tend to be
They're going to be
these type of
right,
lower.
They'll be lower.
whereas a tree
Whereas a
is-
tree, you kind of have to point it right up. To me, it's more about limiting that impact. And so having them
Mhm.
focus on where, like one important tree, maybe two. That's just where my mind goes. I mean, in other places and cities, Carmel, whatever, like they're just like, nope.
Yeah.
It's just not allowed. And you find another way. Some people put lights in the tree and you can shine that down. And so you still get some washing down the
But the
side of
light
the
then is
tree.
directed down as
Yeah.
opposed to. up.
Yeah.
I would prefer something like that, I think. I just think we'd be setting a precedent to allow more of these kind of tree uplighting kind of situations, which, may then change.
Yeah.
The whole,
I mean, they're eye catching and they are attractive. There's something, very beautiful about it. But then it does add to just unnecessary sort of lights. And so as you're if we allow it now here, then the next one says, hey, you allow it for that hotel, our hotel wants it. So then we
Right.
start getting it
And
everywhere.
I think the down lighting is just as attractive, but then kind of alleviates
You
our
need a
concern
larger
with
tree.
the up. You do need a larger tree, but there's also other ways, you could get lighting for a tree.
They do have buildings around there, so you can, do some shining down on the trees. It's not as nice because you want to see the structure of the tree, but. So I mean, I guess I would to briefly summarize, it sounds like we do have some concerns. We do want to come to some conclusion where we do want to prove this. We do like,
I definitely like.
Yeah, they've done a nice
all of
job
that.
with the building. It
Been
looks, it's a
looking
huge
very nice.
improvement.
Murals are great. Landscaping is great.
And I feel like we're either going to say no to the uplighting or yes to the uplighting. I feel like if we try to craft it in some way that, like you said, there's no enforcement. No one's going to have
Unless it's like you say one tree.
one,
can
and then
be
it's like, why?
uplit, and
Yeah.
then your signage, yes, but the angle needs to be such that it's not washing beyond the sign, I suppose would be, but maybe we can get into that on the next round here.
Well, I think trees and signs can be lit without uplights.
Yeah,
So if we want to make a precedent here, we should do it.
any other thoughts, anybody else? Or, I mean, I think we're saying we have, again, just that as, I guess, we've experienced in other towns and things nearby, it's just not allowed. And if this is a area that's really prominent, maybe that's something we should carry on. But I mean, you're going to get enough wash up anyway. You're going to get some of that. There's going to be, they have lights elsewhere. You will still see the trees and their forms. It's tough. I mean, it is nice, but yeah.
I think we should make a separate.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I tried once to craft one of those and I failed it miserably, but so motion to approve ARP 240028 for exterior alterations with condition of no uplighting.
We have a second. Okay, we have a motion by Payam and a second by Kim. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right. The motion is approved. And let me see my note. Looking for the 2-week. Can you help me out here? I can't
Oh,
find it.
okay.
Yeah.
Today's decision is appealable
great.
to the planning commission within 10 days of today's date. And forms are available in the planning office and online.
Thank you. All right, our final item of the evening. Consider 2600 Sand Dunes Drive sign permit application SI 240029.
Yeah. Hello again. My name's Fernanda Roveri, Principal Planner for the City of Monterey. Before you is a sign application for 2 internally illuminated freestanding signs at 2600 Sand Dunes Drive. Staff's recommendation is to adopt the resolution approving the 2 internally illuminated signs at Sand Dunes Drive. Same property as before. This is, again, visitor accommodation facility zoning. It's the hotel property currently called Monterey Tides Hotel. The city charter requires ARC review of any non-structural alteration to properties in the VAF zone. And you've already looked at this property at least twice. The project description is 2 internally illuminated freestanding signs, 1 at Canyon del Rey / Sand Dunes Drive intersection, and the other one at the hotel's main driveway entrance facing Sand Dunes Drive. So this is a site plan, and the arrows point to the proposed signage. So this one would be to the left of the main entrance. And then the one at the corner would be catching people at the corner of Canyon del Rey and Sand Dunes Drive. This is the sign that would be installed at the intersection of Canyon del Rey and Sand Dunes Drive. The sign would be made of an aluminum cabinet with, and then on top of it would be what's called a Corten steel panel with a rusted finish. And the letters and logo would be cut out so that the LED modules that are inside of the sign cabinet would shine through the letters and logo. Let me see if I can, okay. And this is a section drawing of the interior of the cabinet, the sign cabinet. And so as you can see, those are the little LED modules in the inside. And then there's that Corten panel that is cut to allow the light to go through. And then there is what's called an acrylic diffuser, which would be sort of transparent so that the light goes through the letters and logo. And this is the other sign at the main driveway entrance, and it's smaller than the other one. So the other one is 45 square feet, 5 feet tall. The other one is also 5 feet tall, but only 25 square feet. And the idea of having 2 signs is that one of them, the one at the corner, is telling people this is where the hotel is, and basically it's not, don't go straight toward the beach, you have to turn left. And then there's that second sign at the entrance confirming that you've arrived at the hotel and this is the main entrance. And then so that sign at the entrance has the hotel, the new hotel name, which would be Monterey Beach Hotel. And then at the bottom is the bar that's gonna be inside the hotel called the Lantern Room. And both signs would be illuminated the same way. And so in order to approve this proposal, there are 3 findings that need to be made. One of them is that the proposal achieves the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance. And staff found that the hotel building is so large that it makes sense, and it fronts on Canyon Del Rey Boulevard and Sand Dunes Drive. So it makes sense that 2 signs would be appropriate for such a large site, especially since the hotel applicants were saying that people get confused as to where the main entrance is. And so 2 signs would be appropriate for the site. And then those are the only 2 signs proposed. And the hotel does have a building frontage of, I believe, more than 400 feet. And these signs would only be a total of 70 square feet. The second finding is that the proposal is consistent with the sign guidelines, or the ARC determines that it better achieves the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance than the strict application of the guidelines. So this, the zoning, the VAF zoning is different than the, let's say, the downtown specific plan zoning. Because in downtown, internally illuminated signs are prohibited, but the VAF zone, there's nothing in the city charter that says that they're prohibited. And so they are allowed. However, the sign guidelines do say that it's recommended that if you are going to have internal illumination, that it be exceptionally designed. And so staff believes that it is exceptionally designed in that the light would only shine through the letters and logo, and the width of the letters is very minimal. It's not those wide letters that you see in, fast food establishments. So they are very thin. And then the third finding is that the proposal is consistent with the general plan. Staff found that it is consistent because the lighting would be focused on the signs. There is no uplighting being proposed on the signs. It would just be the LED modules that are inside that would be shining through the letters. And with that, staff recommends approval of the 2 internally illuminated signs. I'm available for questions, and I believe the applicant may still be online.
Do we have any questions for staff? None? All right, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
I do see a hand raised. Rebecca, I believe you are able to unmute.
Hi again, it's Rebecca. So I guess the first point, the reason, we were adding the second sign, our GM has noted that a lot of hotel guests, after they come around the corner and, to the main entrance, it's confusing to them which side to go to for the hotel. So they're actually turning to the right and going into, leading towards the state lot. So it's something that's come up, today it's like relatively dark over there. So we wanted to add the second sign to help with that issue. And also it allows us an opportunity to display, the name of Lantern Room, which is a restaurant that we're adding on the 4th floor. And our hope is it's not going to just, our hope is it's not just hotel guests, it's a restaurant we're providing for all of Monterey. it's going to be a great restaurant. So our, we wanted to have that out further and not just at the front of the door. And then the reason for asking for the resolution of not having this uplit. So here's a place where we're not uplighting, or not asking if we, can have the exclusion of not uplighting. As Fernanda presented, we're using a Corten steel like material. And we just think it has a more modern, clean look to have, the lights internal. And the plan was, with all the lighting and our landscaping, we wanted this to be shown in a more unique and different way. So yeah, that was our view there. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments?
There are no more attendees with their hands raised.
So we'll open it up to committee members for any comments, discussion.
Seem like nice signs. And so I think everybody said kind of minimally lit and do the job well. So
I know we did receive a public comment letter regarding the second sign, but I'm in agreement with the fact that it points visitors to the correct parking lot and where the hotel lobby is, as opposed to them going towards the beach parking lot. So I think they're nice signs. I think it will be a nice addition to that corner.
I'm trying to remember, is that the path kind of continues across that, right?
Yeah, you have to
in
cross
some
the
ways-
street.
In some ways, they are kind of identifying to the users on the path too, which I guess would be some of that concern, but it does seem pretty reasonable and an amenity.
Yeah, I think
people
they're,
enjoy, so.
I think it's an elegant design too.
Yeah.
With the Corten steel and the frosted.
And that type of lighting should be quite minimal and I think easy to read, which is all good things.
Good job.
All right, do we have a
Motion to approve application SI-24-0029 for 2 internally illuminated freestanding signs at the existing hotel property.
I second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the project by Payam, seconded by Shelley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All right, the project is approved and it can be appealed to the Planning Commission within 10 days. Actually, it says 10 days, but you said 2 weeks. So is it 10 working days?
Oh, I meant to say 10 days,
10
10
days.
calendar days, but if the 10th day falls on a weekend, then it's the Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So that was our last item of the evening. Are there any other committee comments before we go to staff? All right. Any staff reports or anything to make us aware of?
We did send notices for a project for the May 1st ARC meeting. So we are planning on having a project and a meeting. It's the project that was tabled last time, which was a 2nd-story addition at 799 Grace Street. And the neighbors were able to work out a change to the design that was favorable for both.
Great. All right, well, if that's it, we'll adjourn for the evening. See you.